evening, everybody. Welcome to Community Focus here on CKTV, Central Kentucky TV, Channel 6. I'm Kenny Fogle. Glad you could join us tonight. We've got a jam-packed show for you and hope you'll enjoy listening to what we've got to say. And I'm going to invite Shona Shekel. She's here with me right now. We're going to talk a little bit about, well, a couple days ago, before we taped this, I had the opportunity to have every year in the last several years to attend the Martin Luther King ceremony at St. Monica's Church. And I know you're one of the people that's been responsible for helping put that on. So first of all, thanks for doing that.
Well, I can't take all the credit because the only thing I do is sing in the choir. The concerned parents of Nelson County are actually the ones that sponsor that. Right. So that's their baby. I just come and join them.
Okay, well, one of the things we honor is Martin Luther King. I mean, obviously he did a tremendous work in his time that day. And I guess one of the questions I would have this day, Martin Luther King obviously cut down in the prime of his life. And I think somebody said he'd be around 80-some years old now. Mm-hmm. I just wonder what Martin Luther King would think about where we are today, if we've progressed. Have we gotten where he thinks we should be at this time? How much further we have to go? Where are we at civil rights right now in the United States?
Well, your question is threefold, so I'll try to get all that in.
We'll take all three of them.
As far as what I think that Dr. Martin Luther King might think about our progress as far as civil rights, would he be satisfied? I think in a sense he would be satisfied due to desegregation, equality in education and jobs, with the instituting of affirmative action, because that did not happen until 1961, I want to say, by President Kennedy. So I think that he would be satisfied in those aspects. What I think that he would possibly be dissatisfied with is that racism still exists, and honestly, I don't think that is something that will ever go away. It's more subtle these days.
Yeah.
But I think overall, I think that he would think that he and the people that stood with him had done a good job to get us to where we are today. But we are by no stretch of the imagination where we need to be, but we're definitely not where we used to be as a people and as a country.
Well, we'll go into some specifics here in a few minutes, but one of the things I guess it strikes me as well is we've got our first African-American president of the United States. And has that made a difference in civil rights in America? Is it added to the discussion? Has it improved anything? Has it set it? Obviously, I don't think it set anything back. But I mean, where do you think that's come a long way?
Oh yes, it has. I mean, growing up, did I ever think that we would have an African American president? No, I didn't even think we'd ever in small town America here that we'd have an African American mayor, because it wasn't part of the norm. Yeah. Not that these people were not capable of doing it, not that they were not intelligent or educated or any of those things. It just was not the norm. And then when it happened, the likelihood of it happening and then to actually be a part of history and watch it happen felt really, really good. And I think that it has enabled all little boys and all little girls to be able to say, he looks just like me, and I can do what he's doing. So I think that it opened up a lot there. Now, civil rights, definitely, a lot of people think that civil rights is a black-white issue, and it's not. The president has enacted laws like the Don't Ask, Don't Tell law for the military in 2010 that allows gay men and women to serve in our own armed forces. The Ledbetter Act for Lilly Ledbetter for fairness for women that have been discriminated against in order to get their back pay from their employers. Those things go unnoticed and unheard of, and it always turns into a black-white issue, and it's not that. So I think the president has really made some strides and progress for all people.
Well, you talked earlier about racism will never go away, and I think you're very much right on that. I mean, I don't know about the subtlety, but everybody sees things differently. Like people of their own type. I mean, tall people like tall people, short people like short people. I mean, it's sort of you sort of look at it that way. So it's got to be the human nature of it, and you hate to say it because human nature, we like to think everybody's noble and wonderful, but there's always some that judge on appearance, and I know they see somebody that's really attractive, they judge them one way. They see somebody that's less attractive, they judge them another way. So prejudging is not something that we're ever going to fix.
Right.
So, well, again, we looked at we do talk civil rights. I mean, I know obviously when we first talk about that, the first thing comes to everybody's mind right now lately has been what went on in Ferguson and what went on in the streets of New York. Is that something you think could ever possibly happen around in this area? I mean, in this area of the woods. So do you see that as part of the culture here, or are we a little different from Ferguson, or is that it's just a possibility it could happen?
I think it's a possibility anywhere. And I don't think that we're any different from any place else in America. We're a small town, and people want to say we're country, and I'll take that. I'm okay with being country. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with knowing everybody in town. I'm okay with that. But the possibilities of those types of things happening, yes, it could be, because if people don't have a dialogue, then things get misconstrued. And people are people, whether you're in uniform, in a suit, tennis shoes and a jogging suit, it doesn't matter. People have faults, they have character defects. Some people tell the truth, some people don't. Just because you have a title does not mean your mouth is golden.
That's true.
So, I just think that people need to have an open dialogue in their communities. I don't want a Ferguson, Missouri in Bardstown. I think it would be detrimental to what we do here because, at the end of the day, I can honestly say that we as a people and as a community, we get along. And for most of us that live here, it's not a black, white, Hispanic, Asian issue. We get along. I tell people all the time, I went to school with white kids. I didn't really know the difference. I was taught the difference by the streets, but I didn't know the difference. And I think that is real important, that our children be able to play with each other. And it's not about the color of the skin and all that. It's about, truth and honesty and friendship.
Well, and again, what you're saying is exactly right. When you grow up in a community, now I grew up in a rural community, and the first black person I ever met was in high school, to be honest with you, and I didn't know what to expect. I mean, because to me, we were different people. I grew up in a very rural area that just simply there were no black people in it at all. So when I got to high school, I found out that, hey, we're all the same, And I had several really good friends, and as time went on, the military and things of that nature, you really become to understand that we're all the human race. Right. It takes a while sometimes, though, so that's why I guess I don't understand how some people feel, but it's the fear of the unknown, I think, is what scares people sometimes.
Yes, and we all, if we're all honest, we all have some sort of prejudice, and prejudice does not necessarily have to be against another individual.
Yeah, I don't like people to play for Duke. I mean,
I cheer for the winning team, so it doesn't matter. I cheer for the winning team, but so we all have that within us, and people that say, "Oh, I'm not prejudiced against anything," those people bother me because that means it's not telling the truth.
Right.
So, but it doesn't. I don't see where people get into, I don't like a person because of the color of their skin. I don't understand that. Exactly. That is just hard for me to fathom.
Well, like I said, we've come a long ways. Martin Luther King would be somewhat satisfied as to where we are now, but there's still progress needs to be made. And do you see this progress on a national scale, or is this something local people need to be doing? I know the first thing is it's not time to sit back and say, well, we're here, and just stop talking.
No, I think that the dialogue needs to continue to be open. On a national level, I see things changing. It's been slow, but I see things changing, going in a more positive direction. Locally, we've got some things that we need to do, but there again, we elected our first African American mayor 4 years ago. That was a big thing for this community. That was a proud moment for all people.
Right. Right.
And so, I look at our city council. Our city council has 3 African Americans and our first female who is also African American. So, we have minorities on the school board and all those type of things. So I think that we're going in the right direction, and I hope that, nothing happens locally to push us back.
So conversation, dialogue, and I'm going to say they're getting involved.
Getting involved,
And
yes.
I know you're one that gets involved, but there's certain people, and that's all races. People just say, let somebody else do it, or
Right.
things will get better, or I just don't care, one way or the other.
Right.
But getting involved seems to be the biggest difference maker.
It really and truly is. And my philosophy is, if you can't put something toward the positive effort, then you probably really don't have much to say.
Part of the problem, maybe.
Really don't have much to say. You just got to go with the flow.
All righty. Well, again, I appreciate you coming in here today, and hopefully we can get the dialogue going. And again, that's what we do on this show, is just to get people to think a little bit and to realize, as you said, everybody's got a prejudice of some sort. It
Right.
might be for religious purposes. It might be political. It might be something else. But at the same time, we've got to, if we think about where we are and where I'm not saying maybe need to be, but it's good to sometimes examine ourselves
Right.
just to know how we think.
That is true, and I mean, like I said, we're going in a positive direction, but we are not at the finish line. The finish line is in sight, but we are not there yet. So we're just gonna have to trudge on a few more miles.
Well, in honor of Martin Luther King Jr., I appreciate you being here
Thank you
today,
for having
and
me.
appreciate you listening in, and hopefully we can continue this discussion many, many times. So for all of us Central Kentucky TV, Kenny Fogle will be right back on Community Focus.